Yeah, the Thunder have left the arena, Scott. I'm actually told that they left the arena a good while ago, at least within the hour. They were cleared to leave by Oklahoma health officials, by the NBA, and none of their players were tested, by the way. They basically were advised to observe themselves, and if there's any symptoms, then they would report back to the team that they might need to be tested. The Jazz, though, are still here at the arena, and there's a large group that just showed up in the hallway, and they closed a curtain off, and they didn't want anybody to go back there, and it's pretty obvious that that group of people is here to test the Utah Jazz because they've all been exposed to Rudy Gobert. They've been on the airplane with him, they've been in locker rooms with them, they've been at the hotel with them, and it's pretty clear that that's what's going on at this moment in this arena.
All right, Royce Young, once again, we pivot back to Adrian Wojnarowski, who's got more on that. Woj, what can you tell me?
Scott, I was not able to hear what Royce was saying there, but what I've been told is that the Jazz players will remain under quarantine in Oklahoma City until they've got to work through the health council in Oklahoma. They've got to work through the one in Salt Lake County. And for now, it's not as simple as just getting back on their charter plane and returning home. There's a process that has to happen here. And for now, the Jazz remain and may remain in Oklahoma City.
So essentially, well, maybe not essentially, they're quarantined. I mean, will they be allowed? Is it your understanding they'll be allowed to leave the arena but not allowed to leave Oklahoma City? I mean, they can't just stay in the locker room there, can they?
I'm unclear on the timetable, Scott, whether it's the arena, being able to go back outside of there, whether it's a hotel or another area that's there for them. But there's a process in place that they're going to have to go through before they can leave Oklahoma City, and they're just beginning that now.
So I'm trying to process this. Have you had any contact, Woj, with other teams that have been? We heard from Coach Casey of Detroit. They played him earlier this week. Sort of any sense, and Malika was mentioning that players concerned about that, about whether or not those players who've been in contact with Utah, whether they will find themselves under sort of similar self-imposed quarantines.
Well, certainly tonight, whether it's other players, agents of players, teams, those who've had contact with the Jazz, with Rudy Gobert, many of them have questions, and it's a process to get the kit and get a test. And I think even for Rudy Gobert and the Jazz, it was a process. It's not as simple as just going to the store and getting one. I think that's been well documented. So that's going to be all part of the conversation between teams, the league office, and front office executives will have told me, in the last week, 10 days, I am spending more time on the coronavirus than I am on basketball operations. As organizations, we're being forced, and rightly so, to be immersed in it. So they're not all just starting at ground zero here in terms of understanding how to proceed. This has been a conversation between teams and specialists, their doctors, and the league office.
Woj, appreciate all the information all evening long, sort of keeping us up to date with this. And obviously the rest of us will be continuing to follow you here and on your timeline as well to see what is next. Adrian Wojnarowski.